That was Seven. The track called Hard Times, man. Big up to Seven there still. Yeah. Big tune there. Big tune. But, yo, this is Roger here on Affinity Extra. And I'm gonna comment on the video about to be honest, guys, you see the application, because I just want people to understand it's not just about Roger Money, about racism and all this business reality, but I'm gonna show you about micro racism, because we're not given a platform in spaces to talk our truth. So I'm gonna talk our truth online. If you say it's not our truth, I'm afraid it is, yeah. So it's called tough luck, man, still. But listen, I'm gonna play a video. Obviously, as you can see, it's a white guy on LBC. People sometimes to find that LBC is very very, is the word liberal, or very Labour anyway, still, yeah, in a viewpoint. Not even very Labour. For me, they're 100 cool dudes, man. You know what I'm saying? And I love the way they cover UK news, political news, and social news and whatsoever. So let's have a look. Oh. Okay, let's get back on it. Yeah, cool. Let's go.
And remember, charges have now been brought, so we can talk about, quite correctly, very, very few aspects of that now developing case. And we have to talk about suspects until convictions are secured, or suspects singular. And anybody who doesn't understand that is probably listening to the wrong radio programme, but will no doubt be able to avail themselves of all manner of misinformation and prejudice fueling fury online. And I don't know the answer. I'd like to think that the heroism of one of the members of...
So the question is why do we need? The question is basically, guys, it is. Let me just say the question of the actual article. Is saying, why do you care about the suspect's ethnicity? You know what I'm saying? Every time a crime is done, it's a black, Jamaican, African. You know what I mean? It's Asian, Pakistani, Indian, descent, Southeast Asian. This is quite descriptive, and when it's not, the descriptions are not there. Just saying. And this guy's questioning. I didn't tell him. I didn't say nothing to him. But he's responding to a man being charged over mass stabbing of Cambridge's train. And he's saying, why was it so important to emphasize the ethnicity of the criminals?
Staff would have been even more prominent. I honestly don't know. Who does know? I'd like to think that this man who acted in incredibly quick thinking, the driver indeed of the train, the former Royal Navy operative, became a train driver in 2018. It was him that asked for the diversion to Huntingdon so that passengers could get off the train and police could arrest the knifeman, the alleged knifeman. And you think perhaps that would be the main headline rather than a little insert in the story 10 years ago? But of course, that is not how it works. A lot of the coverage today, once the details have been established, move immediately to the various claims and counterclaims about how the police handle the ethnicity of suspects in major incidents. That's extraordinary, isn't it, when you just pause for a moment to think about it. Police forced to disclose to battle far-right speculation is one headline, and police should have released nationalities of suspects far quicker, says Chris Philp. I mean, there is a lot of competition, but to become the most ridiculous Conservative in the country is clearly a mission that Chris Philp has set himself. The police should have released identity details by now, as they said should happen, and as happened in other recent cases. How? I mean, and inevitably Farage pops up. We need to know who committed these awful attacks.
So, why do people want to know the ethnicity of the person? That's the question I want to put out there still, yeah. Is it just to justify their negative viewpoints of people that don't quite look about them? And I'm afraid that is a very true point, because I'm going to give you an example which I faced, and you can sort to how I faced that situation. But check this out. Carry on.
As soon as possible. To which one response, I think, would be why? So that people can be encouraged to go and set fire to asylum seeker hotels again, full of people that had absolutely nothing to do with any of these events. Why do you want to know? Because it will hopefully fulfill my deep and abiding hatred of foreigners or immigrants or asylum seekers. Well, what if it turns out to be someone who is none of those things? As, of course, was the case in Southport, when people did set fire to buildings full of people who had absolutely nothing to do with the atrocity. Why do you want to know? Has anyone actually stopped to wonder that? Because what we do know is that police are being forced effectively to disclose the ethnicity of suspects precisely because people like Philp and Farage want to make something of it. But one thing I've noted is that when people turn out to be British, as was the case in Southport and as appears to have been the case over the weekend, when suspects turn out to be British, it doesn't actually change anything. So what does this really achieve? What does it stop people doing? Why do you want to know? Does it hurt more? Does it change the nature of the offence? Do the families grieve less? according to the ethnicity of a perpetrator or an alleged perpetrator? It's a funny one. I don't know that they have any choice. Mm-hmm. They have to, and this is a report from another newspaper, the third headline in the same space, how police sought to quell web speculation. When reports emerged about multiple stabbings on an Lner train on Saturday night, the first question many asked was, is this a terrorist attack? And I don't think you will be cross with me if I suggest some people, perhaps the people who are most desperate to know the ethnicity of suspects, some people seem to really hope that it is, don't they? Have I got that right? Am I going a bit mad? But some people...
I do believe that people assume when they hear stuff and what they almost want to justify their feeling, they want to justify waving their flag. That's my viewpoint, and I'm with this guy. You know where he's going with this 100%, man.
Seem to really hope that it is a terrorist attack. Some people, no doubt, will still claim that it was, or that it is. The definition of what constitutes a terrorist attack is fairly clear. But the last time this happened was when a car was driven into a crowd of people in Liverpool. Again, a live and unfolding case. But it ceased to be a terrorist attack, or people ceased to believe it would be, although I'm sure online you can find people who think that has been misrepresented and misreported as well. But it's a funny one, isn't it? So this is a proper change that has happened in our society. And I think all I really want to do this morning is ask you whether it's a change for good or a change for bad. So when a terrible thing happens, now, the police feel that they have to disclose ethnicity of suspects. In this case, a 32-year-old black British national who has now been charged, and a 35-year-old British national of Caribbean descent who has been released with no further action and apparently had absolutely nothing to do with anything. But the ethnicities are now released. I suppose you have to acknowledge that some people will pick up on the fact that this suspect is black and somehow manage to turn that into racist propaganda or racist embellishment, just as they did in Southport. But, I mean, I think we're all pretty clear on what the word British means. Even the racists will allow black people to be British. It's just English that you're not allowed to be if you're Rishi Sunak. Suella Braverman won't let herself be English. I'm allowed to be British, but I'm not allowed to be English. So we're all pretty clear on what British means, and yet they feel the need to release the Britishness in order to establish that it's presumably not somebody recently arrived here, or not somebody here having had their asylum application rejected or waiting for their asylum application to be processed. What does it achieve? I wondered after Southport what happens when an atrocity is undertaken by somebody who does fit the template of the racists. Somebody commits a terrible crime who is...
Well, I'm going to pause there still, yeah, because you know where it's going still, yeah? But ultimately, guys, yeah, what this... That's better, yeah. Ultimately, guys, I'm looking at this going, oh, let me explain. For me, it's like a case of there is a major problem when ethnicity is always been there. We've seen it as a community as something negative. We notice where certain crimes are committed and it's done by somebody who's black. They emphasize that it's a black person when it's done by a crime that's been done and it's not done by a black person. It's not described as a black person. They assumed. Nothing's mentioned about whiteness. Now people can say, oh, he's just being descriptive. Well, the problem is, guys, you give a negative connotation of black people. Let me give you an example of a real life situation for myself. As a young person, I was 18 years old, my brother's driving, 19 years old. I think I just met my missus, and me and my brother started driving before me, and locally there was two black guys who apparently robbed somebody's house, and a description of two black boys in a hoodie was given. So we're just driving, and police stopped us because we're two black guys, no hoodies, but in a car. You know what I mean? So they ran the checks. We was cool, legit. There's nothing wrong. It's been a fearful thing. You're thinking, what the heck? But we moved on and we went back home. Anyway, still, yeah. So you're thinking, okay. That's back in the 90s, guys, yeah? Now, everybody who's black is black. So what happens when it's a white robber? Do you stop everybody who's driving who's white because there's two men in the car? No, you don't. But we're black. But anyway, so... this ability you have now to still emphasize that the person's black, and then also we don't help ourselves with our music and what happens when I say our music, by young black men coming up with music that's just talking trash and criminal garbage. I'm minding my own business, and I'm saying to some of the guys, some guys, I'm not going into the details who they were, but they were of Christian origin. Christian origin, Oh, that can be taken so many different ways. but definitely two white guys anyway. So yeah, and ask me, oh, why do I, ask me, what I'm doing and what I'm about and whatever. I said, listen, guys, you wouldn't believe half the stuff I do between coaching, mad weekends, coaching in terms of young people, creativity, and in sports and health and well-being. Come by Thursday, all the way to Sunday afternoon. I'm like, what I'm saying? It's mad busy for me. And they were like, and one of the guys said, "Oh, so what do you do?" Asked me, "So what do you do?" And one of the guys, before I could say what I do, said, "Oh, he's a drug dealer." I'm going, is this 1976 or 2025? And I'm like, how do I get profiled as a drug dealer? Oh snap! 1 second. Oh, I am a black man. So if I'm busy over the weekend, I am a drug dealer. So I'm like, why am I being profiled as a potential, even if it isn't jest? Like, why couldn't say, oh no, he's a professional footballer? I could take that on the chin because man, I build like a footballer. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying, but man, I said that in jest, a drug dealer, and if that's in jest, it doesn't really help when we've been profiled every 2 seconds and connected to crime. So every time you see a crime, the description for somebody who's of color is black man. And when you see when a white man does it, there's no mention of whiteness. So it's like subconsciously they don't do crime, but they do because you just haven't said that they were white. So I'm not saying you should say they're white. I'm saying a young man, I'm saying, I get descriptions if you're doing a man hunt and a man chase or whatever this. So yeah, but sometimes, guys, come on, man. I'm saying, maybe, guys, you tell me what should I said. Should I not knock the guy out for saying that to me about face the person? I know a lot of people be like, what? And the person was not 65 years old. He was 85 years old, part of the old guard. The guy was younger than me. I know business. I'm positive he's younger than me. I'm positive he's not even into his 40s yet. So that shows you, and this is why I always go back to educate people. We educate people through our systems of schools and education systems. Also, we educate people by utilizing our platforms not to reflect the negative viewpoint of black people. I've said this, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to catch this up with a couple of my other colleagues like Mr. Mark G and Blue. I'm going to speak to them about these sort of scenarios. But this is not good. Yeah, guys, this is not good at all. Always emphasizing when something goes wrong that the person is black. And when they succeed, you don't mention them at all. You don't mention, right about now, the best team at the moment in Europe is Bayern Munich, and it's managed by a black man. Why don't you say a black man called Vincent Kompany is successful managing a football team? But we're cool to say Vincent Kompany, we're cool with that. Well, maybe it's Vincent, we'll give it away. But this is the problem, guys. You know what I'm saying? It's like when it's positive, it doesn't get mentioned. When it's negative, it gets mentioned. We know that Lynn Christie, nobody knew he was born in Jamaica, only my family because we're from the same area. But nobody knew he was Jamaican, born in Jamaica, until there was a bit of trouble. And they dashed him away and said, Jamaican born, British runner. Nothing is changing. So the way to change is for you to open up and listen. And things like Black History Month, it's not just about saying that we're special. It's about emphasizing the positive inputs that we've had in this community and to show that we're not just a bag of criminals. Just saying, people. Listen, this is Roger, Affinity Extra, the gospel music of Black origin. I'm not going to get told off for saying this. Oh, no, people, I'm just going to say my truth, man, and just leave it like that, people.
Hi, and thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, you like, and you comment, and make sure that you're sharing the videos and watching so much more. We have loads of content for you. I hope you enjoy. See you soon.